This week's episode of Life Planning 101 originally aired in 2019. Please enjoy. Welcome to Life Planning 101, brought to you by Smart Money Group and Kennedy Financial Services in Eastland, Texas. Tune in every week as we share important information to help you and your family live life on purpose. Insurance, investments, legacy and tax planning, and much more. All covered now on Life Planning 101.
Very pleasant good Monday morning, everyone. Welcome into Life Planning 101 right here on KTX KDY. Terry Slavin's with you and joined as always by Angela Robinson.
One of the things that we do in this coaching group that I go to on a quarterly basis is we have what's called this little pocket coach. And we pull this out, and on the back side, it says, messes I need to clean up this quarter. Why would it say that? Well, I want you to think about your garage. And you've got this garage that is messy. Keeps getting messier. Eventually, what do people do?
They get fed up and they clean it.
Or they pull down the door and they park their car
outside.
That's right. Okay. So how does that make you feel, though? Every time you walk into that garage when it's messy.
You just, you try to avoid it if at all possible.
You don't even go that way, right? And if you do, you feel stressed, you feel overwhelmed. You might come in, you might snip at your spouse when you do. I mean, it gives you all these negative things, right? So the concept behind messes are the messes I'm going to clean up over the next 90 days that are keeping me from being able to move forward and live life on purpose. Okay, so as we go through today's show, that's what I want you to be thinking about. Is I want you to be thinking about these messes, because we always talk about a New Year's resolution starting out in the beginning of the year in January, right? Well, that sounds great, but what's the problem that most people have with New Year's resolutions?
They don't keep them.
They don't keep them. Why do you think they don't keep them?
Because they didn't make the plans necessary to make it work.
Yes, that's right. And they didn't. I mean, there's a lot of things. I think yes, they don't have someone to hold them accountable. Right. I mean, there's so many things, right? But I think you're right, Terry. I think the biggest thing is they have all these messes in their life, and they can't see past all the clutter for what the big picture is really about. In church yesterday, I actually wrote this down, and now I can't find my bullets, and I'm really upset. But Daryl was talking about, he was driving and he saw the most beautiful sunset. It was amazing. And he said, and then I put down the visor so that I couldn't see the sun, so that I could see everything on the road in front of me going on. Think about that. Now, yes, you don't want to have a car wreck, but how many times do we really do that in life? And he didn't mean it in this context, but this is how it hit me, is that we pull down that visor to avoid seeing that big picture, that beautiful, miraculous thing in front of us. And all we see is the clutter right in front of us. And we're just dodging and ducking and, doing what we have to do to get by every single day instead of looking at that big picture and looking at what's really able to happen, right? And you can really look at what's ahead of you. So right here on Life Planning 101, you're not going to want to miss it today. We're going to be talking about a song that you know very well. And I'm not going to sing, so you can definitely tune back in, but I will provide you the lyrics. You don't want to miss it right here when we come back. I want to talk about the good old days. So I have a confession to make. I love watching those reality talent shows.
Oh.
I do. I think they're fascinating to see this talent. In fact, when I was in Santa Monica in November, I was outside jogging and this guy's walking this tightrope, and it fascinated me so much. I probably sat there and watched him for 30 minutes on this little tightrope in Santa Monica, but I'm just fascinated by all the gifts that were given and in different ways, and really enjoy it. So this takes you back several years ago on The Voice. There is a gal named Danielle Bradbury, and she was a young lady from Texas. Of course, that caught my attention, and she's 16 years old, and she goes to sing the Grammy award-winning song by the Judds called Grandpa, Tell Me About the Good Old Days. Well, if you haven't watched it, you need to YouTube
Google it. Yeah.
Google it, YouTube it, whatever. Celie's always telling me YouTube. Everything's on YouTube. So I'm sure you can find it on there. But what really hit home, and besides the point that it was really good, it really, really hit home for me hearing her sing it. And I don't know if it was just because there wasn't a lot of racket with it or anything. It was just her voice, right? But it just took me into a state of, oh my goodness, how crazy is this? And what I want to do is I want to see if you have that same aha. I want to read the lyrics, and we're going to go through this line by line. It's very short, but it says, Grandpa, tell me about the good old days. Sometimes it feels the world's gone crazy. Grandpa, take me back to yesterday, where the line between right and wrong didn't seem so hazy. Did lovers really fall in love to stay and stand beside each other, come what may? Was a promise really something people kept, not just something they would say? Did families really bow their heads to pray? Did daddies really never go away? Oh, Grandpa, tell me about the good old days. Grandpa, everything is changing fast. We call it progress, but I just don't know. And Grandpa, let's wander back into the past and paint me a picture of long ago. Did lovers really fall in love to stay and stand beside each other come what may? Was a promise really something people kept, not just something they would say and then forget? Did families really bow their heads to pray? Did daddies really never go away? Whoa, Grandpa, tell me about the good old days. Now, I want you to take this back to when this won the Grammy Award, 1987.
Wow.
Could this same song be written today?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. We're saying the same thing. You think about this crazy world that we live in that's moving so fast that people just say things need to slow down and politics are whatever, and there's this new thing called truthiness out there. It's not even real truth, it's truthiness. It's this line between right and wrong that you make the truth what you want it to be. Right? I mean, all of these things, they're called different things, but they're the same thing, right? And so my aha when I was reading this was the fact that we can always live in the past and think things were better in the past, or we can choose to live in the present and we can start making things the way that we want them to be, right? And there's this great book. And by the way, if you're a business owner in particularly, I highly recommend reading this book. It's a great book for anybody that works, but it specifically business owners because it talks about a way of culture. And it's called Doing Business God's Way. And I was given it by a friend that actually owned a business here in Eastland several years ago, and we had our entire team read this book. And I'll be honest, when I started reading it, I was a little bit taken back. Okay, I was like, oh, this is a little much, right? But really, it got my attention in a lot of ways, just like this song did, and primarily with the fact that, you know, the only way that things are going to change on a worldwide basis are in our country. I can't tell you how many times our country is prayed for. My goodness, there's amazing songs being written about our country right now, right? You know, our hometowns, how that's going to change, or our homes and our communities, whatever it is. The only way all of that's going to change is if you start making a change in your home. And what you do, what one person can do, can expand to multiple people, what they see you do. And in fact, someone told me after we brought Brian home, and, you know, Brian, our youngest son, he was something that we prayed for. And so, you know, to us, he is a blessing.
Sure.
He is our blessing. He is our promise from God. And, you know, someone said, what you've done is so wonderful. And I said, no, I said, you don't understand. This is something that God placed in our heart. It's something we wanted. It's not something so wonderful. And he said, no, what you don't understand is you lit a fire. You lit a fire that has inspired other people to do other things because you did it. And he's right.
Sure.
You know, if we each do something inside of ourselves that is considered greatness, what can that do for others? I'm reading a great book right now. Gosh, I think his name is Tony Evans. I think he's a preacher, and I'm not getting off on a saga here, I promise. But it's talking about your destiny. And in it, he talks about, you know, the fact that he was blessed enough to find his destiny at 18 years old, and he's a preacher. But he says some people are less fortunate at that. Some people don't know where their destiny is or what their destiny is. And he said, but some people just know. And he said one time he was in Billy Graham's, the great Billy Graham's office, and the secretary is just going at it, data entry, and joyful. And He said, so do you like what you do? And she goes, I love it. He said, well, how long have you been doing it? She said, over 20 years. He goes, how could you like doing data entry for over 20 years? And she said, because I'm making a difference. If it wasn't for what I do, people wouldn't be able to be connected to us. And see, she found her purpose in data entry. Okay, so his whole premises of the book is it doesn't matter what your calling is; it's the fact that you live in your calling, and then of course you have this love of life, right? You have the eternal joy, and so I think about this, and I think about this song, and I think about if we always are living in the past or always living the future, and we refuse to live in the present, can that really be joyful for any of us? No, it can't. And so we've got to be able to have our vision. We have to be able to clean up our messes in the past, but we have to find a way to be able to live in the present. And if something in your past is holding you back, some messes are holding you back from being able to do that, or something in your future that you're uncertain of, scared of, worried about, don't want to take that step because whatever that reason is, that's a mess. That's something that you need to clean up so that you can be fully present. You can be living in that presence. So when we come back right here on Life Planning 101, you don't want to miss the one question that could change everything. I think in order for people to live life on purpose, we obviously manage money. We manage everything to do with money. Doesn't matter if it's investments, taxes, insurance, liabilities. It doesn't matter, right? That's our ballywick. But we can't do that if we don't know what people's purpose is and how to help them live life on purpose. And I think the reason why is we aren't in the business of providing joy. Unfortunately, that's the man upstairs that is in that business. And so, without that, there's only so much you can do to be happy. If you're always looking at your treasures on earth, you're never going to be happy.
Sure.
And so you've got to find that internal happiness and then build your life around that. Build everything you have around that. And we forget, we do it backwards. We accumulate, and we say, someday I'll be able, think about it, right?
Right.
And we do it so backwards. And so, I always think about John Maxwell. He always talks about beginning with the end in mind. And I used to do this with people a long time ago. I don't even know why I've quit. I used to do this when we were doing our infrastructure meetings, when we were getting to know somebody. And I would say, talk about Norman Rockwell. You know who Norman Rockwell is. Okay. He posted how many Lifetime magazine covers? I don't know. Yeah, a ton, right? But if you noticed, if you actually went back and Googled all those images, there's one thing that's in common about every single one of them. It's like this perfect American picture. Perfect. In the perfect American way. And so I always told people, paint yourself a Norman Rockwell of your life. What do you want that to look like? What does it need to be?
A garage full of clutter.
A garage full of clutter, right? Yeah, don't think so.
No.
But I think we forget to do that. We just live it, and we forget to be able to focus on that vision or that destiny that we have for ourselves. So I want to ask you a question, and this is something that we do ask all of the families that we work with. What has to happen for you to feel successful, both in business, professionally, and personally, emotionally, spiritually, physically? You think about that life wheel, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, you can go on our website and check it out, www.kennedy-financial.com, and go to that life wheel. But go through each of those areas, and what has to happen for you to feel successful about your progress? And notice I said progress. I didn't say perfection, right? You're never going to reach it.
Never.
News flash. Okay, not going to happen. But you can have progress, right? And so what has to happen if you're looking back? Another way of thinking about this is what would be unacceptable regrets that you don't want to have? We talk about that all the time, right? We don't want unacceptable regrets in life. It's a very powerful question, and I encourage you to focus on cleaning up your messes and focusing on that question. My husband is worse than I am in the sense of trying to accomplish all and everything. And, we've got 2 young kids and everything else going on in life. And we were talking the other day, and I've heard this like 4 times in the last month. So I said, okay, it's got to be a sign from God. This is what we need to be doing, because we've been praying on, having balance, having better balance within our family. And you said something, Terry, about the show you were watching.
Right.
They don't call the past a gift. They don't call the future a gift, but the present, it's a present.
It's a present. That's why they call
it's a gift.
Today a present.
Right. And so, having that balance, I think, has a lot to do with that, right? If we have balance in our lives, we're able to enjoy the moment. My husband is the world's worst. If he sees me working out, he literally snarls at me. And I said, why are you snarling? Because I'm not getting to work out today. This is really what goes on in our conversations, because, we both like to stay healthy, obviously. And I can't say that I don't do the same thing when he's doing. I may not snarl at him, but I go, humph, and I turn around, right? So, but, if you put it in your mindset that you have to do that so often and you never get to it, you're going to become frustrated with yourself. So what I've heard, this little tool, is 3 a day. 3 a day. Focus on 3 aspects of that will, that balance will, a day. Don't focus on all of them. Just pick out 3. So if it's working out 4 days a week, that needs to be on there 4 times a week, right?
Right.
Family time. If it needs to be on there 2 times a week, put it on there. If you need to be working on your vocation, if you need to be working on your spiritual life, put it on there and focus on 3 a day really hard, rather than trying to focus on everything every day.
Do 3 things really well rather than a bunch of things.
That's right.
Just
and then
average.
It gives you permission. It gives you permission not to work out. I actually watched my husband do it last week, and I didn't snarl at him, right? So it works, right? So I want to leave you with something. This is something that when I was looking up stuff today, I came across this little poem online, and it was just a blog by someone called Aaron, and it was published in June 2008. And it was on familyfriendpoems.com. It says, thinking back on my life when I was a little child, so outrageous and bubbly, doing things that were wild. Thinking back on my life all those wonderful years, not a care in the world, no worries, no fears. Thinking back on my life, all the advice I was told, what a wonderful child my parents hoped they would mold. But as we all know, it was always what we dreamed. Life gets harder, and it's not what it seemed. There are 2 roads in life, the right one and the wrong one. The wrong one I chose, and it seemed life was done. But as time went on, I had to agree I can do and be anything I want to achieve. I have tried over and over and failed to succeed, but I am a soldier. That's what I believe. My life is too precious to let it slip away. I must try harder and harder each coming day. One day I'll soon be all that I am. How do I know, you ask? Because I know I can. Sometimes we give up too soon, but that perseverance is what God wants us to have to be able to fulfill our destiny. The road that each of us has, there's a reason for it, and I believe that because it makes us stronger for the future if we let it, right? So don't make excuses. Don't have blame. I tell my kids, no whining, no blame, no excuses, right? And that's what we need to have. So I want to leave you with one final thing, a little blessing. This is from Romans 15:13. May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace in believing, so by the power of the Holy Spirit you may be abound in hope.
Thank you for joining us for Life Planning 101, brought to you by Smart Money Group and Kennedy Financial Services. If you have questions, you can email them to lifeplanning@kennedy-financial.com. Don't forget to learn how our sister company can assist you with all of your tax and consulting needs. You can find out more at briscoeandassociates.com. Be sure to tune in next week for more Life Planning 101. The opinions expressed herein are those of the firm and are subject to change without notice. The opinions referenced are as of the date of publication and are subject to change due to changes in the market or economic conditions and may not necessarily come to pass. Any opinions, projections, or forward-looking statements expressed herein are solely those of the author, may differ from the views or opinions expressed by other areas of the firm, and are only for general informational purposes as of the date indicated. Securities offered through Calton & Associates Incorporated, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Smart Money Group LLC. Kennedy Financial Services and Smart Money Group LLC are separate entities and are not owned or controlled by Calton & Associates Incorporated.